Welcome to a video on the Yamaha PSR E483. This is more of a how to use video, an introduction to some of the basic things. So it's turned on at the moment, but here next to the volume knob is the on and off switch. Pressing and holding will bring that on and light up the screen. So we'll start on this side of the keyboard and on the bottom here. So this button selects between style and song. Now the keyboard has the ability to load your own songs, but comes with some demonstration songs, so the keyboard can be demonstrated. Just on the start and stop button there. Generally, it'll be in style, so that we can select a style, which we'll come to in a minute on the other side of the keyboard. The next button on here is the accompaniment button. So the keyboard is in full mode at the moment because this is not lit. So let's put it on piano. But if I turn this on, then accompaniment is now selected and it will play chords. And it will play chords. Let me lower the camera down a bit and bring it out. It will play chords up until this F and the sharp. After that, so the keyboard's selected to be below that F sharp for your chords. I'll come back on chords more later. I'm just introducing the buttons at the moment. So split there for your normal keyboard. If you turn the accompaniment button off, then you've got the full keyboard back. The next button along is to do with the accompaniment. So we'll zoom in here. And this is the intro A and B, which relates to these A and B. Sync stop and sync start. So let's do them one at a time. The intro button will play one of two intros to a given style. If we pick the first one that's on there, which is 80s guitar pop. If I was to click, the best way to do it is to click sync start, so that will start playing when I press a chord on the keyboard. I will select A, because that's the one I want the intro to be on, intro A, and now I'll press intro. Now, when I start to press any key on the keyboard, I'll get an intro to a song. Rookie mistake, I didn't switch accompaniment on. So all I got was the drums. So you must switch that button on first. So again, sync start, A and intro. And now it's into A. So that explains all of these buttons. Now the difference between sync start and sync stop is with sync start selected, the keyboard will start when I press the accompaniment will start when I press any key on the accompaniment side. I can take my finger off and it'll carry on playing. If I select sync stop, when I stop pressing, it stops playing. So that's the difference between sync start and sync stop. I use sync start mainly. Sync stop's alright if you're playing a song that needs to stop in the middle and then start again. There's other ways you can do it, but that's the easiest way of doing it. I particularly don't like sync stop, and I'll show you why. On sync start, if I'm doing a selection of chords, like if I do that on sync stop, you've got to be really clever with your fingers to get that smoothness. If you just press the next key like I did, then it doesn't change much, it just makes another chord. And I'll explain that why, because we've got it set on multi-finger, so I'm making other chords. So I'd have to get a speed of lifting off and pressing the next one so I don't get a gap. And that's why I don't like sync stop. I prefer sync start because it carries on by itself. And while we're doing this, I'll demonstrate the ending. What we use for the intro will also do an ending if I press it. And again, out of A and B, depending on which one I was in, whether I get ending A or B, we'll demonstrate that on this one. So if I was in sync start and A, and I was playing, and I pressed end, if I was in sync start and B, I'd get a different ending. We'll come back to that more when we're doing chords for songs. So let's move up to the next row switches now. I'll do it on that one. So we have a metronome. That's so we can have, if we're wanting to keep time while we're playing our own songs, what we're doing. I could help it time me by pressing the metronome. There. Just pressing the metronome button again will stop it. Notice though, it's got 2 writing on it, which means it has another function. So you can also change the time signature for that, so that if you were going to do a waltz, you could change it to 3/4 time for the metronome. And to get the other part of that, you would have to press the shift button to get the function for the other activity on that. Next to it is the tempo. Now pressing tempo on itself will light up on the screen the tempo. And if I use the bottom selector, the styles knob, I can change the tempo of a song. So if we had that drum beat again, I'm changing this. To get your normal display back up after you've set the tempo, you just press the shift button again. So that's your tempo button. You're able to record your own songs, which we're going to do in another video, but this is the button you would use for that. And also record audio as well, an audio file, and save that. Next to that is a looper. You can record your own loops pressing that. That's something I've recorded in, and it'll just keep playing that over and over again. Pressing it again stops it, and you can use the sync with the shift button. All these will be covered in their own right in a separate video. I'm just introducing the switches today. So keeping on this same level, we also have an octave switch here now. So pressing the octave switch will change, because the keyboard, it will shift it up or down. If I click it once in the up, that's took it up an octave, and up another octave, as far as it goes, back down, and then that's where it lives. It's the same as going, let's pull the camera out, it's the same as going like that. Right, it's just took it there. The reason for that is if you're playing the piano without the accompaniment, you're making your own. That might not be low enough there for my bass. I could bring it down. That's all that is, so you can transpose it down or up. So that's the case of that button. The next one, on that same one, using the shift button, I can get access to transpose. Now, that will transpose the key we're playing in. Let's say I knew a song in C. Let's bring the keyboard out. If I knew a song in C, for someone to sing to, and I only knew it in C, I'd be limited for someone to sing along with that who couldn't sing in C, supposing they wanted to sing in F, and that's their key for singing in. I'd have to learn that song in F, or I could use the transpose function to transpose it up to F. Now, transpose will move it up in half steps, so pressing the key and the transpose button, it's come up with -1, and I can use so F is that's 5, and if I got that back to 0 on here, so there's no transpose taking place, I could count that. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So to play in F, I just have to transpose it up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then play that song in C. Now the guy can sing to it, and I'm still playing it the way I know it in C, because I've transposed the keyboard up. So that's the function of the transpose button. Always put it back to 0 before pressing shift to come out of that. So you're back in your normal thing. Below that is auto chords and fingering type. Now let's look at the fingering type first. So it's a shift because it's on the bottom. And on the screen, it's coming up saying multi-finger. If I change it with this knob, I can have smart chord or multi-finger. Now, if you leave it in multi-finger, it means that when we goes up too quick for that now. When we're playing in accompaniment, I can either choose single finger or finger the chords out. Just quickly, because we'll be doing this in a video on its own. Pressing that F would give me the chord of F, but I could also finger it out and get the chord of F. You might ask yourself, why would you do that? And the reason why is I can do major chords and minor chords and seventh chords, but I can't do sixths, ninths. I can't do major sevenths. So with multi-finger, I can actually finger that chord out to get a major seventh like that. So leaving it in multi-finger gives you the option to do whichever way you want, or mix the two. And the button next to it is above it, should I say, is auto chord. Now, I want to come back to auto chord because it deserves a video of its own. It also requires that you've got a good basics in chord theory at least to be able to get it to do it for you and understand what's happening. So I'm going to come back to those buttons. Carrying on this line, then the shift button, you've seen me use it already. It's to give me access to some of this stuff. And then above that is the mic button. You can plug a microphone into this keyboard, and if you press the mic button, I'll get my hand out of the way, you'll see on the screen the mic gets a symbol on to show you that it's on, and you can speak into the mic and sing into the mic. So we're going to move up now to the other buttons on the next line. Split. Split is so that you may split this keyboard yourself. Now we saw earlier it was split here for the chords, but if we were playing in a full instrument without the accompaniment, we've just got the piano, which is what's selected here for the whole thing. If I press split, it will split the keyboard, and you can, it suggests an instrument, and it's split in the same place as where the chords were. I think you can change that as well, but it's normally sufficient. And split here has put a bass instrument in here and left my piano up here, so I can now have a bass playing for me. So that's what the split function is, and remember, this is just an introduction. We'll be covering all these things separately. Next to that is dual. Now dual selects it so that you have another instrument playing along with the one you've selected. Again, the machine will suggest one for you automatically, but you can change that. If you hear the piano now has got like strings behind it, if I take that off, just piano with it on. Now dual, harmony, will play harmony when you've got the accompaniment button on. If I press the chord there now, I'm getting the harmony with C, harmony with G, F, and back to C. So it gives me a harmony to the instrument. I could just have harmony on its own without the strings. sometimes enriches your instrument, makes it sound good in certain songs. Next to that is a perigo, whichever one, I don't know, a periga. Just means that it's playing by itself, as I'll demonstrate. I'm only pressing the key once and it's doing that for me. It'll do that with your chords as well. So it might work for some songs. And finally on this side, the top row of buttons. Now these are to do with articulation on the keyboard. Some instruments already have it built into it, so if I go through the instruments and wait for one of them lights to light up. That one's selecting a dual, so that's got a dual instrument. That'll be, there you go, look. So a MIDI grand piano has got some articulation into it. But if I just press back to the normal key, the blue button, which we missed down here, will give you that articulation just for quick. If I'm playing this, then with that. This is more controlled with these. Mega boost, if you don't think your keyboard's long enough or loud enough, you can make it go louder. I should also mention that the keyboard is touch sensitive as well. So if I play soft, I'll get it soft. If I press harder, I'll get it louder. There are two knobs here that can be assigned. Obviously you'd use, I'm zooming again, you'd obviously use that assign button if you were doing that, and again we'll cover that in its own video, but it does come with something in it. If you dulling it down, sharpening it up, same with this one. So because it's got something in it, I just keep them in the middle. I think we've covered the whole of that left hand side now, so we'll come down. Just to finish off on this one that we were doing, that's obviously you don't have to have sync start one, you can just start it and stop it just like you would on a cassette player or a video recorder. Over here in these buttons that are all lit up at the moment, they're all lit up because the instrument I've selected, or the accompaniment I've selected, has something in all of its banks. If I select another instrument, select that on piano. This one's got nothing on that one. But what it does mean is if I'm playing a backing track, I can change how it sounds as well. So let's have the key of G playing and start stop. Turning these, I'm turning each element of it off. That's just the drums. So that's just like a bank of instruments making up that that backing. So if there's an element of a backing you like most of it, but you don't like this thing that keeps playing, you can turn it off. All right, we're going to move to the other side of the keyboard now. Looking at the top, the two big knobs, you've already seen me using them. The top one selects your instrument that you want to play. The bottom one selects the style for your accompaniment. These buttons, plus and minus, so if you look at that grand piano, if I place a pulse, it's just going up by 1 or coming down by 1. So that's another way you can do it if you didn't want to twist that. I can put it right back to the beginning by pressing those two together and resetting it. Or I can use this concert grand button here to do the same thing. And it resets the keyboard to how it is when you turn it on. So your instruments, you have to check with your manuals. I think it's 300 and something, or 800 and something instruments. Check that with your manual. But you can turn this knob and go through them one at a time. Or you can look at these and decide, is it a piano? Is it an organ? Is it a guitar or a bass I'm looking for? Is it strings? Is it brass? Is it woodwind? And it's a quicker way of getting to what I'm looking for. For instance, if we demonstrate this, if I was looking for saxophone and I was here at the beginning of grand piano, which is at 001, I can just keep turning this until I get to saxophone. You can see it's long and drawn out, unless you print a list out, which I've done, to find out where saxophone is, and you can just turn it quicker because you know what number you're looking for. Or reset it to the beginning again. If I know it's a saxophone, I know it's in the woodwind section, I can press woodwind and I'm straight to saxophones, and I can start looking up from there. So that's another way of selecting instruments if you know what you're looking for. The function button we'll come back to because that's a video of its own. The bottom is much the same thing as the top, only for the styles. So I can go through the styles one at a time. I can press this plus or minus, or I can reset it back to the beginning by pressing them both together. Or if I know what I'm looking for, if it's pop, is it rock, is it dance, and I speed the search up by selecting one of those buttons first. The song button we'll leave for now, the audio button there, and the shift key acts the same as the other shift key on the other side. Like videos by themselves. So dropping down is these bank buttons here now. There are, I believe, 8 banks. We can test that out. If we look at the screen first of all, and I press that bank button, you can see that I'm on bank 2 there now. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back to 1. So there are 8 banks and 4 memory slots in each bank, in which I can store an instrument. I'm playing a song, and say for instance I wanted to play in this instrument that's selected now, the sweet tenor sax. You've seen what's involved in selecting that. I have to go to woodwind and then start searching for it. If I'm in the middle of a song and I want to switch to that instrument, I can't do that smoothly. So I can use one of these banks. So I'll go to bank 2 because I have got stuff in bank 1 I don't want to rub out. So if I go to bank 2 and say in memory pot 3, I want to save this sweet tenor saxophone. So I press and hold the bank button, then press and hold 3. You can't see it because I haven't moved the camera, but the number 3 started flashing in the memory slot, which now says it's in there. So if I went back to piano by pressing the key there, and I suddenly wanted to turn to saxophone, as long as I'm in bank 2, I can just press 3 and I'm back into saxophone again. Now I'd do that I'd use one bank for a song that I know that I'm going to change instruments in, and I'd put all the instruments I'm going to change or use in those memory slots, so that select the bank before I play the song, and then I can switch instruments just by pressing those buttons. This are for samples. It's come with some samples built into them. I don't like them, they're horrible, but here's one. I'll turn it down a bit.
Gonna play the music inside me
And in B.
all day long.
Now the samples and the loops. So if I press and hold that, so I'm holding the loop, it'll just play it over and over again. Until I stop it. If I were going to play something with that. See, in a video all by itself, I'll show you how you can record your own samples into that, and this button is what's involved in that. So again, that will save. So I think we've covered all those buttons, apart from, bring it out, this one on the end here. And now if you've got the 583, then you'll have two of these. I've only got the one, which is the pitch bend. I like to use that on the guitars, because the guitar wouldn't sound like that if it went to go dee-dah. It'd go like this. So that covers all the knobs, and we'll end that video here, and the next video will be on how to do the accompaniment on this keyboard.